The galaxy had descended into shadow. The Clone Wars, once a sprawling conflict of ideals and armies, had ended with a chilling silence, replaced by the iron grip of the newly declared Galactic Empire. Chancellor Palpatine, now Emperor, had revealed himself as Darth Sidious, orchestrating the fall of the Jedi and the Republic with ruthless precision. Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi hero turned traitor, had embraced the dark side as Darth Vader, his soul consumed by rage and despair. Amid this chaos, Senator Padmé Amidala, secret wife to Anakin and mother to his unborn children, found herself caught in the storm's heart. The volcanic plains of Mustafar still smoldered in her memory as Obi-Wan Kenobi carried her limp form aboard a shuttle. She had confronted Anakin, pleading with him to turn back from the abyss, but his eyes, yellowed with Sith corruption, had met hers with fury. The last thing she recalled was his hand tightening around her throat, the force choking the breath from her lungs. Then darkness. Now, in the sterile medical bay of Polis Massa, an asteroid outpost far from the Empire's reach, Padmé lay on a cold slab, her life slipping away. Medical droids hovered around her, their metallic voices delivering grim updates to Obi-Wan and Yoda, who stood nearby, their faces etched with sorrow. "She is fading rapidly," one droid reported, its photoreceptors glowing faintly. "Her injuries combined with severe emotional trauma have compromised her systems. She will not survive much longer." Obi-Wan clenched his fists, his blue eyes fixed on Padmé's pale face. "There must be something we can do. She's carrying Anakin's children. Twins. We can't lose them all." Yoda, leaning on his Geimer stick, closed his eyes, his wrinkled brow furrowing as he probed the Force. Strong, her spirit is, yet broken, her body has become. A path forward, I sense, but uncharted it may be. Before Obi-Wan could respond, a new voice cut through the tension, a human voice, steady and determined. "Master Jedi, I may have a solution." The trio turned to see a woman in a lab coat approaching, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun, her eyes sharp with intellect. She carried a data pad, its screen flickering with data. "I'm Dr. Zara Keel, a medical researcher stationed here. I've been experimenting with carbonite freezing as a means of preserving life." Obi-Wan's brow furrowed. "Carbonite? That's used for shipping to Bana gas or industrial materials, not for people." "True," Dr. Kale conceded, stepping closer, "but I've adapted the process. It's still experimental, but I've successfully preserved smaller organisms, rodents, even a Corellian hound, by suspending their biological functions in carbonite. For Senator Amidala, it could buy us time to find a way to heal her." Yoda tilted his head, his green eyes narrowing. "Dangerous, this is. Unknown the effects on a human could be. And her children, what of them?" Dr. Kale tapped her datapad, pulling up a schematic of the carbonite chamber. "The freezing process halts cellular activity entirely. If it works as intended, both she and the twins would be preserved exactly as they are now, alive but in stasis. We could revive her later when we have the means to save her." Obi-Wan hesitated, glancing at Padmé's still form. Her chest rose faintly, each breath a struggle. "And if it fails?" "Then we lose her now instead of in an hour," Dr. Kale replied bluntly. "But if it succeeds, she lives. And so do her children. It's a risk, but it's her only chance." The room fell silent, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Obi-Wan looked to Yoda, who nodded slowly. "The will of the Force, this may be. Proceed, we shall." With no time to waste, they moved Padmé to an adjacent chamber where the carbonite unit loomed, a hulking machine of pipes and valves, its surface scarred from industrial use. Obi-Wan helped position her inside, his hands trembling as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Hold on, Padmé," he whispered. "There's still hope." Dr. Kale activated the controls, and a hiss filled the air as carbonite gas flooded the chamber. Obi-Wan stepped back, watching as the liquid metal enveloped Padmé, hardening into a gleaming slab. Within moments she was gone, her form etched in the carbonite like a statue, peaceful yet haunting. The readings stabilized and Dr. Kale exhaled. "It worked. Her vital signs are locked in stasis. She's alive in there." Obi-Wan stared at the block, a mix of relief and unease swirling within him. "Now what?" "We must hide her," Yoda said, his voice firm. "The Emperor, if he discovers this, will hunt her down. A symbol of resistance, she remains." Bail Organa, who had arrived to oversee the twins' fate, stepped forward. "I'll take her to Alderaan. We have secure vaults there, hidden from Imperial spies. She'll be safe until we can bring her back." Obi-Wan nodded, though his heart ached. "Be careful, Bail. The Empire's reach grows by the day." As the carbonite slab was loaded onto Bail's ship, Obi-Wan lingered, gazing at Padme's frozen face. "May the Force be with you," he murmured, a prayer for a future he could scarcely imagine. On Coruscant, the air was thick with the hum of machinery and the stench of scorched metal. In a medical chamber deep within the Imperial Palace, Darth Vader emerged from his transformation. Encased in black armor, his breaths rasped through a vocoder, each exhale a mechanical echo of his new existence. The pain of his injuries on Mustafar lingered, but it was nothing compared to the void in his soul. Emperor Palpatine stood before him, his yellow eyes gleaming beneath his hood. "Rise, Lord Vader. You are reborn, a servant of the dark side and the Empire." Vader struggled to his feet, the servos in his legs grinding as he adjusted to the weight of his armor. His mind, clouded with rage, fixed on one thought. "What happened to Padme?" he demanded, his voice a deep, distorted growl. Palpatine's lips twisted into a cruel smile, sensing the opportunity to tighten his grip on his apprentice. "She is dead, my friend! Your anger overwhelmed her. She could not survive the pain you inflicted." The words struck Vader like a blow, and he roared, the Force surging through him in a wave of fury. The chamber trembled, med-droids sparked and collapsed, glass shattered, and the walls groaned under the pressure. "No!" he bellowed, his fists clenched so tightly that the metal creaked. Palpatine watched, pleased. "Her loss is your strength, Lord Vader. Let it fuel your power. Together we will crush all who oppose us." Vader bowed his head, the rage consuming him. "Yes, my master." But as he retreated to his private quarters, a flicker of something else pierced the darkness. A faint sensation through the Force, like a distant heartbeat. He knelt, closing his eyes behind the mask, and reached out. There it was again. A whisper of life, a thread connecting him to Padme. Was she truly gone, or had Palpatine lied? The doubt gnawed at him, but he buried it beneath his loyalty to the Emperor. For now. In the years that followed, Vader became the Empire's fist, hunting Jedi and enforcing Palpatine's will. Yet in the quiet moments he meditated, probing that faint echo. It never faded, and with each passing day, his suspicion grew. One evening, while overseeing the interrogation of a rebel on the desert planet of Tatooine, Vader overheard a fragment of gossip among the locals. A traitor spoke of a sleeping queen, a figure of legend preserved in carbonite, hidden from the Empire's grasp. The word struck a chord, and Vader's interest sharpened. Could it be her? He began to investigate, discreetly at first, questioning informants, scouring records, and dispatching probes to remote worlds. He told himself it was a fool's hope, but the Force urged him onward. Padme was out there, and he would find her, no matter who stood in his way. In the shadows of the galaxy, resistance took root. Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and a handful of loyalists gathered in secret, their voices hushed as they planned to defy the Empire. Padme's death had galvanized them. She had been a beacon of democracy, a voice against tyranny. Her loss was a wound that fueled their resolve. But Bail carried a secret heavier than most. In a hidden vault beneath Alderaan's royal palace, Padme's carbonite block rested, guarded by droids and trusted aides. He had sworn to protect her, believing that one day she could be revived to inspire the fight against Palpatine. Her survival was a spark of hope he dared not extinguish. As the rebellion grew, whispers of Imperial movements reached their ears. A spy within the Emperor's ranks reported that Darth Vader was searching for a frozen asset, his inquiries veiled but relentless. Bail's heart sank. Did Vader suspect the truth? Had the Empire discovered Padme's fate? He convened a meeting with Mon Mothma in a concealed chamber on Alderaan. "If Vader's looking for her, we can't keep her here," he said, his voice low. "Alderaan's too exposed." Mon Mothma nodded, her expression grim. "We need a new hiding place, one the Empire won't suspect. Yavin 4, perhaps. The base there is still under construction, but it's remote." Bail agreed, and arrangements were made. Under the cover of night, Padme's carbonite slab was loaded onto a nondescript freighter, piloted by a trusted rebel captain. The journey was tense, every hyperspace jump shadowed by the fear of the Imperial pursuit. Meanwhile, Vader's search intensified. His interrogations grew harsher, his presence more menacing. On Coruscant, he pored over old Republic files, seeking any mention of Carbonite experiments. The trail was faint, but it led him to a name. Dr. Zara Kalen, a scientist last seen on Polis Massa. He dispatched a squad to investigate, determined to uncover the truth. In 3 BBY, 16 years after Padmé's encasement, a rebel scout named Kalia Vorn stumbled upon a lead. On a routine mission to Kamino, she infiltrated an abandoned Imperial research facility, its corridors slick with rain and neglect. Inside, she found a cache of dusty records, logs of experiments conducted during the Empire's early days. Her breath caught as she scanned the files. One entry stood out. Subject: Senator Padmé Amidala. Status: Carbonite preservation initiated 19 BBY. Relocation ordered to secure facility. The details were sparse, but the implications were staggering. Kalia transmitted the data to Rebel Command, and within hours, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma were poring over it. "This can't be right," Bail muttered. "She's been on Alderaan all this time, or so I thought." Mon Mothma frowned. "If the Empire moved her, we've been guarding an empty vault. We need to investigate." A team was dispatched to Kamino, led by Kalia. They combed the facility, dodging rusted security droids and decayed machinery. In a sealed chamber, they found a datapad, its screen cracked but functional. It contained coordinates to a vault on Bespin and Cloud City with a note, "Frozen asset transferred for safekeeping per Imperial directive." Bail's stomach twisted. Had the Empire intercepted Padmé years ago? He rallied a strike team including Kalaya and a smuggler named Jax Corrin to infiltrate Cloud City. The mission was risky. Bespin was under Imperial oversight, but they had no choice. Unbeknownst to them, Vader's agents had picked up the same trail. An informant on Kamino reported rebel activity, and Vader's Star Destroyer altered course, its shadow looming closer to the truth. As the rebels prepared to depart, Bail gazed at the stars, a chill settling over him. Padmé's fate hung in the balance, and with it, the galaxy's future. The Wanderer's Gambit, a weathered freighter, sliced through the amber clouds of Bespin, its hull blending with the twilight haze. Inside the cockpit, Kalia Vorn, a sharp-eyed rebel captain with a scar tracing her jawline, checked her blaster's power pack for the third time that hour. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of their mission. Beside her, Jax Corrin, a smuggler with a lopsided grin and a knack for improvisation, adjusted the ship's throttle with a casual flick of his wrist. "Relax, Kalia," Jax drawled, his voice cutting through the hum of the engines. "We've slipped through tighter nets than this. Cloud City's just another job." Kalia's dark eyes narrowed. "This isn't a spice run, Jax. We're here to rescue Padmé Amidala, the woman who could turn the tide against the Empire." Jax shrugged, leaning back in his chair. "Legend or not, she's just cargo until we thaw her out." Their objective was precise yet perilous. Infiltrate a high-security vault beneath Cloud City's mining district, retrieve Padmé's Carbonite slab, and escape before Imperial forces tightened their grip. Bespin's floating metropolis glittered above them, a facade of luxury hiding a labyrinth of Imperial informants, surveillance droids, and reinforced blast stores. Every step would be a gamble. The Wanderer's Gambit docked in a shadowed maintenance bay, its engines powering down with a groan. Kalia's comlink crackled to life, projecting a flickering hologram of Bail Organa, the rebellion's elder statesman. His lined face was grim. "Be cautious, Kalia," he said. "Our intel confirms Vader's forces are en route to Bespin. Your window is shrinking." "Understood, Senator," Kalia replied, her voice steady despite the knot in her chest. "We'll be in and out." The team, Kalia, Jax, and 2 rebel commandos named Terran and Miko, disembarked, their boots clanging against the metal catwalks of Cloud City's underbelly. The air smelled of Tabana gas and ozone, a sharp reminder of the mining operations that fueled the city's wealth. Their target was a vault concealed behind multiple security layers, its access codes procured by Jax from a disgruntled miner for a steep price in credits and promises. As they descended into the sublevels, the walls closed in, lined with pipes and flickering lights. Kalia led the way, her blaster drawn, while Jax scanned for traps with a handheld sensor. Terran and Miko hauled a repulsor lift crate to transport the Carbonite slab. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant hum of machinery, until a faint clatter echoed ahead. "Hold!" Kalia whispered, raising a fist. The team froze, listening. A patrol droid's whirring grew louder, then faded. They pressed on. Above them, aboard the Star Destroyer Executor, Darth Vader stood motionless before a viewport, his black armor reflecting the swirling clouds of Bespin. His respirator hissed rhythmically, a mechanical heartbeat underscoring the storm of emotion he buried deep. He could sense her, Padme, a faint ripple in the Force, pulling him closer after years of searching. Love, twisted into obsession, fueled his pursuit. "Admiral Piet," Vader's voice rumbled, cutting through the bridge's sterile air. "Prepare my shuttle. I will retrieve her myself." Piet bowed stiffly. "Yes, my lord." Encased in carbonite, Padmé Amidala existed in a liminal state, her body suspended, her heartbeat stilled, yet her mind alive, touched by the Force through the twin lives she once carried. Darkness enveloped her, but it was no longer empty. Visions pierced the void, vivid and chaotic, like dreams woven from destiny. First she saw a young man on a desert world, sand whipping around him. His face bore her soft features and Anakin's strong jaw, his eyes blazing with resolve. In his hand a lightsaber ignited, its green blade cutting through the dusk. A name whispered through her mind. Luke, though she couldn't place its origin. Her heart ached with recognition. The scene shifted. A young woman with Anakin's fire in her gaze led a band of rebels through a dense forest. Her braids swung as she barked orders, a blaster steady in her grip. "Leia," the same voice murmured. Padme felt pride swell within her, shadowed by dread. These were her children, grown and defiant, yet hunted by the darkness she knew too well. Another vision flashed. A colossal space station orbiting a planet, its surface a lattice of steel and death. A beam of green light erupted from it, shattering a world into ash. The sheer scale of its power chilled her, a premonition of annihilation that threatened everything her children fought for. The images came in fragments, disjointed, overwhelming, but they anchored her. She was more than a prisoner in carbonite. She was a conduit, her survival tied to a future she could scarcely grasp. She willed herself to endure, to awaken, and to reach the ones she saw in her visions. Back on Bespin, the rebels reached the vault. Its massive door loomed before them, a slab of durasteel etched with warning glyphs. Kalia punched in the final access code, her fingers steady despite the sweat beading on her brow. With a hydraulic hiss, the door slid open, revealing a stark chamber lit by cold fluorescence. At its center, atop a low pedestal, rested Padme's carbonite slab, her frozen form faintly visible beneath the metallic sheen. "There she is," Jax whispered, his usual bravado replaced by a rare note of reverence. Terran and Miko maneuvered the repulsor lift crate into position, preparing to load the slab. But before they could act, a piercing alarm shattered the silence. Red lights pulsed overhead, and the clatter of armored boots reverberated through the corridors. "It's a trap!" Kalia shouted, diving behind the pedestal as blaster bolts streaked into the room. Imperial stormtroopers stormed the vault, their white armor gleaming under the lights. The rebels returned fire, their shots precise but desperate. Jax lobbed a smoke grenade, its gray haze billowing to obscure their position, while Terran dragged the carbonite slab toward the crate. Miko laid down suppressive fire, his rifle barking in staccato bursts. Amid the chaos, a new figure stepped into the fray. Lando Calrissian, Cloud City's suave administrator, his cape fluttering like a banner. "Hold your fire!" he called, his voice carrying over the din. The stormtroopers paused, uncertain, their blasters still trained on the rebels. Kalia whipped around, her weapon leveled at Lando's chest. "Calrissian, and what's your game?" Lando raised his hands, a disarming smile playing on his lips. "Easy, Captain. I'm not your enemy. Yet. The Empire's got me in a bind, but I'm open to negotiation." Jax snorted, popping up from cover to toss another grenade. "Negotiation? With Vader's dogs at the door?" Lando's eyes flicked to the carbonite slab. "That package is worth more than you realize. Help me push back the Imperials, and I'll let you walk out of here with her." Kalia's mind raced. Lando was a wild card, charming, slippery, and utterly untrustworthy, but they were pinned down, outnumbered, and running out of time. "Deal!" she snapped. "But if you cross us, I'll put a bolt through that fancy cape." Lando grinned. "Fair enough." As the rebels and Lando's security forces clashed with the stormtroopers, a shadow fell over Cloud City. Darth Vader's shuttle descended through the clouds, its angular wings slicing the air. He emerged onto the landing platform, his black silhouette stark against the pastel skyline, lightsaber humming to life in his grip. Inside the vault, the rebels secured Padme's slab in the repulsor lift crate, but the tide was turning. Imperial reinforcements flooded the sublevels, their blasters cutting through Lando's guards. Kalia led the retreat, her team hauling the crate through twisting corridors as explosions rocked the walls. Vader advanced, his presence a tidal wave in the Force. He cleaved through Lando's men with ruthless efficiency, his crimson blade a blur. "You cannot escape me," he intoned, his voice echoing like a death knell. The rebels reached the maintenance bay, the Wanderer's gambit waiting just beyond a loading ramp, but Vader was closing in, his armored strides unrelenting. Jax, thinking fast, patched into the city's control grid via a wall terminal. "Let's see how he likes this," he muttered, triggering a series of blast doors to slam shut behind them. Kalia glanced back as the barriers locked into place. "That won't stop him for long." She was right. Moments later, a screech of tortured metal rang out as Vader's lightsaber carved through the first door. The rebels piled into the ship, securing the carbonite crate in the hold. Jax leapt into the pilot's seat, engines roaring to life while Kalia manned the turret. The Wanderer's gambit lifted off, but a sudden jolt yanked it back toward the platform. Vader stood below, one hand outstretched, the Force anchoring the ship like a chain. "He's pulling us down!" Kalia yelled, her shots from the turret useless against him. Then Lando's voice crackled over the comm. "Hang on! I'm overriding the tractor beams!" A second lurch shook the ship as the invisible grip released. The freighter surged forward, breaking free of Bespin's grasp and rocketing into the sky. On the platform, Vader lowered his hand, his fury a silent storm as he watched them vanish into the clouds. Hyperspace streaked past the cockpit windows, a tunnel of blue-white light enveloping the Wanderer's gambit. Kalia slumped against a bulkhead, wincing as she pressed a med patch to a blaster burn on her arm. Jax stayed at the controls, his usual swagger dimmed by exhaustion and the damage reports flashing across the console. "We made it," he said, his tone flat. "Barely." Terran and Miko secured the carbonite slab in the hold, their faces etched with relief and grief. Miko had taken a glancing shot to the shoulder, and the mission's toll weighed heavily. Kalia stared at the slab, Padme's serene expression frozen in time, and wondered what secrets lay beneath that surface. The comm buzzed, and Bail Organa's hologram flickered into view. His eyes were shadowed with concern. "I'm glad you're safe," he began, "but there's a complication. Our spies have uncovered evidence of Imperial experiments, clones of Padmé Amidala, created as decoys or propaganda tools." Kalia's breath caught. "Clones? You're saying the Padme we rescued might not be real?" "It's a possibility," Bail admitted. "We can't be certain until we test her. Bring her to Yavin 4 immediately." The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence. Kalia approached the slab, her fingers brushing its cold edge. Doubt gnawed at her. Was this the true Padme? The senator who defied Palpatine? Or a hollow copy? Unseen within the carbonite, Padme's consciousness stirred once more. A new vision unfolded, a gantry suspended over a chasm where a young man faced Vader. Words echoed through her mind. "I am your father," and a wave of anguish and hope crashed over her. She knew these were her children, bound to the man she loved and lost, and her awakening was their salvation. The Wanderer's gambit sped through hyperspace, carrying a mystery that could reshape the rebellion and the galaxy itself. The Wanderer's gambit dropped out of hyperspace, the swirling blue tunnels of faster-than-light travel giving way to the serene vista of the Yavin system. The massive red gas giant Yavin loomed ahead, its fourth moon, a lush green jewel, hanging in orbit like a beacon of hope. Kalia, the rebel pilot who had led the daring rescue of the carbonite slab believed to contain Padmé Amidala, stood at the helm, her breath catching in her throat. They had escaped the Empire's grasp, but the weight of their cargo pressed heavily on her mind. Was it truly Padmé inside the slab, or a cleverly crafted clone designed to deceive them? "Jax, take us in," Kalia ordered, her voice steady despite the storm of doubt within her. "I'll inform command we've arrived." Jax, her co-pilot and a man of few words but fierce loyalty, nodded and guided the ship toward Yavin 4's atmosphere. The dense jungle canopy soon came into view, ancient Masazi temples peeking through the foliage, silent sentinels of a forgotten era now repurposed as the hidden heart of the rebellion. The ship touched down on a makeshift landing platform, and a team of rebel technicians, accompanied by medical droids, hurried forward to secure the carbonite slab. Among them stood Bail Organa, a key leader of the rebellion, and a man who had known Padme in her days as a senator. His face was etched with concern as he approached Kalia. "Welcome back," Bale said, clasping her hand warmly. "We've prepared a secure chamber to examine her." Kalia glanced at the slab as it was carefully loaded onto a repulsor lift. "We need to know if she's the real Padme. The Empire's cloning technology is too advanced to take any chances." Bale led the group deep into one of the temples, to a chamber outfitted with advanced medical and scientific equipment. Waiting there was a figure Kalia hadn't expected. Quinlan Voss, a Jedi survivor known for his unorthodox approach to the Force. His dark eyes studied the slab with an intensity that made Kalia uneasy. "Master Voss," Bale greeted, "your expertise in the Force will be invaluable here." Voss inclined his head, his gaze never leaving the Carbonite. "I sense something. A presence, but it's faint, like an echo through the Force." As the technicians began scanning the slab for signs of cloning, Voss stepped closer, placing his hands on its cold surface and closing his eyes. Inside the Carbonite, Padme's consciousness flickered, trapped yet restless. The Force visions that had haunted her since her encasement surged with new clarity. She saw a young man, Luke, her son, clashing lightsabers with Darth Vader on a frozen world. Then Leia, her daughter, standing tall and resolute before a council of rebels. And finally a chilling sight. A massive moon-like station powering a beam of green death toward a peaceful planet. The urgency of these images gripped her. She had to awaken, to warn the rebellion, to protect her children, but her body remained a prisoner of the Carbonite. In the chamber, Voss pulled back, his brow furrowed. "There's a strong connection to the Force here, but it's different. Not like any living being I've encountered." "What does that mean?" Kalia asked, dread creeping into her voice. "It could be a clone, engineered with some tie to the Force," Voss said. "Or it might be the real Padme, her spirit altered by years in stasis." Dr. Alar, the lead scientist, approached with a datapad in hand. The cellular analysis shows irregularities. There are markers consistent with cloning, yet also unique genetic signatures matching Senator Amidala's records. "So is she a clone or not?" Jack snapped, his patience fraying. "It's not that simple," Dr. Alar replied. "She could be a clone with implanted memories or a hybrid of some kind. We need more time to be certain." Bale shook his head. "Time is something we don't have. Vader is likely tracking us as we speak. We need a decision." Kalia stepped forward, her resolve hardening. "We can't abandon her. Clone or not, she might hold valuable information, or abilities. If she's the real Padme, we owe it to her to try." Voss nodded. "I agree. There's something unique about her, whatever she is. I can feel it." "Very well," Bale said. "We'll proceed with thawing, but under tight security. If she's an Imperial plant, we'll be ready." As the team prepared the thawing chamber, Padme's visions grew more intense. She saw Vader boarding a shuttle, his dark presence radiating menace and longing. He was coming for her, driven by a twisted mix of love and possession. Desperate to warn the rebels, she reached out with her mind and found a faint connection. It was Voss, his Force sensitivity brushing against her own. With all her strength, she pushed a message through the void. "Vader! Coming! Danger!" Voss staggered, clutching his head. "I felt her. She spoke to me through the Force. She warned that Vader is on his way." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. If Padme could communicate from within Carbonite, she was no ordinary being, clone or otherwise. "Prepare the defenses," Bale ordered. "We must protect her at all costs." Aboard the Executor, Darth Vader stood on the bridge, his black armor gleaming under the harsh lights. The star map before him glowed with the coordinates of Yavin 4. "Set course for the rebel base," he commanded, his voice a mechanical rumble. "They are there, and so is she." Admiral Piet hesitated, a rare crack in his composure. "My lord, a direct assault on Yavin 4 would require a larger fleet. Perhaps we should—" Vader turned, his presence suffocating the air. "Do not question me, Admiral. I will have her back, no matter the cost." The Executor and its escorts leapt into hyperspace, the stars stretching into lines of light. Alone in his meditation chamber, Vader reached out with the Force, seeking the faint thread he had felt for years. It was stronger now, tantalizingly close. "Padme," he whispered, a rare fracture of emotion piercing his iron facade. On Yavin 4, the thawing process began. The carbonite slab was placed in a specialized chamber, where controlled heat and chemicals would free its occupant. Rebels watched with bated breath, aware that Vader's arrival loomed like a gathering storm. Kalia stood guard, her hand resting on her blaster. She had volunteered to protect Padme personally, drawn by a connection she couldn't fully explain. As the carbonite melted, Padme's form emerged, her face serene yet strained. Her closed eyes twitched, and within her mind, the visions persisted. A young man facing a cackling emperor, lightning arcing around them, a fleet confronting a second Death Star, and herself, reunited with Luke and Leia. With a final surge of will, Padme broke through her mental prison. Her eyes snapped open, the carbonite shattering around her. She gasped, collapsing into the arms of medics as the chamber filled with astonished cries. "She's alive!" Dr. Alara exclaimed, rushing to stabilize her. Padme's voice was faint but firm. "Vader, he's coming. You must prepare." Kalia knelt beside her, grasping her hand. "We know, we're ready, but we need to know. Who are you? Are you the real Padmé Amidala?" Padme met her gaze, unwavering despite her weakness. "I am Padme, but I am more now. The Force has shown me things. Visions of the future of my children." "Your children?" Bail asked, his eyes widening. "Luke and Leia?" She nodded. "Yes, they are the key to defeating the Emperor. But Vader, he seeks to claim them, to turn them to the dark side." The room buzzed with shock. If Padme held knowledge of the future, she could tip the scales for the rebellion. But before they could press further, alarms blared. "Imperial ships detected in the system," a voice crackled over the intercom. Vader had arrived. Rebels scrambled to their stations, pilots racing to X-wings and gunners manning turrets. Kalia helped Padme onto a stretcher, but Padme gripped her arm. "Wait, I can help. The Force, it's with me now." Kalia hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but stay close." As TI fighters screamed through the skies above Yavin 4, Padme closed her eyes, reaching out with her newfound power. She sensed Vader's turmoil, his relentless drive. She also felt her children, distant but vibrant, their fates woven with hers. In a burst of inspiration, she sent a message through the Force, not to Vader, but to Luke and Leia. "I am alive. I will find you." On a far-off world, Luke paused during his training with Obi-Wan, a strange warmth tugging at his senses. On another, Leia felt a similar pull during a rebel briefing, a spark of hope she couldn't name. Back on Yavin 4, the battle intensified. Jax led a squadron of X-wings darting through enemy formations with daring precision. Inside the temple, Padme focused, seeking a way to aid the fight. A vision flashed. The Executor's shield generators, a weak point on its port side. "Kalia," she said urgently, "tell your pilots to target the Executor's port side. There's a flaw in their defenses." Kalia relayed the order, and the rebel fighters shifted their assault. To their amazement, the shields faltered under concentrated fire, torpedoes striking the hull. The Executor reeled, and Vader's forces began to withdraw. Vader, aboard his flagship, sensed the tide turning. "How did they know?" he growled, but no answer came. With his ship damaged, he ordered a retreat, temporary but necessary. As the battle subsided, Padme was moved to a medical bay to recover. Bail, Kalia, and Voss gathered around her, eager for answers. "Tell us about your visions," Voss said gently. "What have you seen?" Padme took a shaky breath. "I've seen the Empire's rise and fall. My children will play pivotal roles in its end, but there's great danger. The Emperor's power is vast, and he'll stop at nothing to crush us." She paused, her gaze distant. "And I've seen a choice for Vader, a chance for redemption." "Redemption?" Bail echoed. "For Vader?" "Yes," Padme said. "Despite all he's done, there's still good in him. I believe he can return to the light." Kalia frowned. "After everything? That's hard to believe." "Love is a powerful force," Padme replied softly. "It can change even the darkest hearts." A new alarm interrupted them. "Incoming transmission from the Imperial fleet," a technician called. Bail activated the holoprojector, and Vader's towering image appeared. "Rebels of Yavin 4, he intoned. "You have something that belongs to me. Surrender Padmé Amidala, and I will spare your base. Refuse, and I will destroy you all." The transmission cut off, leaving a heavy silence. Bail turned to Padme. "He knows you're here. What now?" Padme's expression hardened. "We can't give in. But I can use this. I'll confront him, not in battle, but through the Force. I'll reach the man he once was." Voss nodded. "It's risky, but it might prevent further bloodshed." "Set up a secure channel," Padme instructed. "I'll speak to him." As the rebels prepared the link, Padme steadied herself. This would be her greatest challenge yet, for her children, the galaxy, and the man she once loved. The holo projector flickered, and Vader reappeared. "Padme," he said, his voice laced with menace and yearning. "Anakin," she replied, using his true name. "It's not too late. You can still choose the light." Vader's fist clenched. "Do not call me that. Anakin Skywalker is dead." "No!" Padme insisted. "I feel him in you, the man who loved me, who fought for justice. He's still there." For a moment Vader was silent, his breathing echoing. Then softer. "Padme, I thought I lost you." "You did," she said. "But I'm here now. Come back to me. To us." Vader shook his head. "It's impossible. The dark side has claimed me." "There's always a choice," Padme urged. "Think of our children. They need their father, not the monster you've become." "Children?" Vader stiffened. "What do you mean?" Padme faltered, realizing he might not know. I had twins, Anakin, a boy and a girl. Your legacy." Vader's presence surged. Shock, anger, hope. "Twins? Where are they?" "I won't tell you," she said firmly. "Not while you serve the Emperor." His tone darkened. "Then you leave me no choice. I will find them with or without you." The connection severed, leaving Padme shaken. She had stirred doubt in him, but at a cost. She had revealed her children's existence. Bail rested a hand on her shoulder. "You did what you could. Now we prepare for his next move." Padme nodded, her mind racing. She had glimpsed the conflict within Vader, a flicker of light. Perhaps she could nurture it, but for now the rebellion's survival hung in the balance. And with Vader's obsession renewed, their fight was far from over. The war room on Yavin 4 buzzed with frenetic energy. Holographic displays shimmered with tactical data, illuminating the faces of rebel officers in cold blue light. General John Dodonna stood at the center, his voice a steady anchor amid the storm of preparation. "Red Squadron, stand by for launch. Gold Squadron, prepare to cover the eastern flank," he commanded, his hands tracing vectors on the holomap. Around him, technicians scrambled to calibrate systems, their fingers dancing over consoles as the hum of machinery filled the air. Outside, the roar of X-Wing engines echoed through the jungle, a defiant chorus against the approaching darkness. In a shadowed corner, Padmé Amidala watched, her presence a quiet strength amid the chaos. Once a senator of Naboo, she was now a beacon for the rebellion, her survival a miracle born of desperation. After giving birth to Luke and Leia on Mustafar, her life had hung by a thread, choked out by Anakin's rage. Obi-Wan and Yoda, unable to save her through conventional means, had encased her in Carbonite to preserve her fading spark. Years later, the rebellion had liberated her from an Imperial vault, and on Yavin 4, she had been thawed, emerging not just alive but changed. The long stasis had awakened something within her, a connection to the Force, nurtured by visions of the future she'd experienced while frozen. "Padme!" A gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. Mon Mothma approached, her elegant robes a stark contrast to the utilitarian uniforms around them. "You should rest. The medics, "I've rested enough," Padme replied, her tone soft but resolute. Her dark eyes met Mon Mothma's, reflecting a fire that belied her frail frame. "I need to be here for them. For him." Mon Mothma's gaze softened. "Your resolve strengthens us all. If you're certain, perhaps your insights could guide us." Padme nodded, stepping closer to the holomap. She closed her eyes, letting the Force flow through her. The noise of the room faded, replaced by a rush of images. Starfighters clashing in a fiery ballet, a massive station with a hidden flaw, and a towering figure cloaked in black. Anakin, now Vader, his mind a tempest of rage and regret. "The Death Star!" she whispered, her voice cutting through the din. "It's their weapon, but it's vulnerable, an exhaust port straight to the core." Dodonna turned, skepticism etched on his weathered face. Our scouts reported no such weakness. It's there, Padme insisted, her certainty unshakable. I've seen it. He studied her, then nodded. Adjust the briefing. Target that port. As the officer scrambled to comply, a familiar presence brushed her mind. Obi-Wan Kenobi, his spirit a guiding light. You're doing well, Padme, but beware. The dark side looms close. I know, she thought back, but I can't abandon him. Not again. The sky above Yavin 4 darkened as the Imperial fleet dropped from hyperspace. The Death Star emerged, a steel moon casting an ominous shadow. TIE fighters poured forth, their screeching engines a harbinger of destruction. Rebel X-Wings and Y-Wings rose to meet them, laser fire stitching the void in brilliant streaks. In the command center, Padme stood beside the tactical display, her hands clasped tightly. She felt the battle unfold through the Force, the pilot's courage, the enemy's ruthlessness, and above all, Vader's presence, a dark star pulling at her heart. He was out there, leading the assault, sensing her as keenly as she sensed him. A vision seized her, Vader's tie. Advanced locking onto an X-Wing piloted by a young man with her eyes, Luke. Her breath caught. No! She murmured, snatching a comm unit. Red 5, watch out! Vader's targeting you! Who's this? Luke's voice crackled back, tinged with confusion. A friend, Padme said, her voice thick. Trust the Force, Luke. It's with you. Outside, the rebel fighters pressed their attack. Gold Squadron dove into the Death Star's trench, but TIEs cut them down, their ships erupting in silent fireballs. Gold Leader's gone, a technician reported, voice tight. Red Squadron's our last hope, Dodonna said, his jaw set. Padme focused, her mind reaching out. She pictured the exhaust port, a narrow lifeline amid the chaos, and willed Luke to find it. In his cockpit, Luke hesitated, then flicked off his targeting computer, a whisper of instinct guiding his hand. Vader closed in, his targeting reticule steady on Luke's ship. I'll have you now, he growled. But Padme stretched out with the Force, brushing his mind with a flicker of doubt. Anakin, stop! His focus wavered just for an instant. At that instant was enough. The Millennium Falcon burst into view, Han Solo's voice whooping over the comms as he blasted Vader's escorts. Vader's ship spun away, out of control, and Luke fired. The torpedoes plunged into the port, igniting a chain reaction. The Death Star shattered, a supernova of light and debris lighting up the sky. Cheers erupted in the command center, but Padme remained still, her thoughts fixed on the dark figure retreating into the void. The battle was won, but her fight was just beginning. Padme knew what she had to do. Destroying the Death Star had bought them time, but Vader remained the Empire's fist and her husband. She couldn't let others face him while she hid. She devised a plan. Infiltrate the Executor, his flagship, using a captured Imperial shuttle. Her Force abilities, honed by Obi-Wan's guidance, would conceal her approach. Padme, this is suicide, Bail Organa argued, his brow furrowed. He's not the man you knew. He's still in there, she countered, her voice steady. I've felt it. I have to try. Bail sighed, then relented. Take the shuttle, Lambda. I'll get you a crew. No crew, she said, just me. The shuttle slipped through the battle's aftermath, its codes granting safe passage. Aboard the Executor, Padme moved like a ghost, the Force cloaking her from detection. Stormtroopers passed within inches, oblivious, as she navigated the stark corridors to Vader's meditation chamber. The doors hissed open, revealing a cavernous room bathed in shadow. Vader sat enthroned, his back to her, his breathing a mechanical dirge. Anakin! She called, her voice soft but piercing. He turned, his mask void of emotion. Padme, you should not have come. I had to, she said, stepping forward, to save you. He rose, his presence overwhelming. There is nothing left to save. I am Darth Vader. No, she said, tears glistening in her eyes. You're Anakin Skywalker, my husband, the father of our children. A tremor ran through him, imperceptible but real. That man is dead. He's not, she pressed, closing the distance. I felt you when I was frozen. Your pain, your love, it's still there. Vader's fists clenched. Love destroyed me. It can heal you, she countered. She reached out, touching his arm, and poured her visions into his mind. Naboo's meadows, their wedding, the twins' birth, a future where he stands with Luke against the Emperor. He recoiled, his breathing erratic. "What sorcery is this?" "The Force," she said. "It kept me alive, showed me the truth. You can choose, Anakin. The Emperor will betray you. I've seen it." "Lies!" he roared, but doubt lingered in his tone. "He lied about my death," she said. "He'll discard you too, but you can come back to me, to us." Vader stared at her, his silence deafening. Then quietly, "I've done terrible things, Padme." "And you can atone," she whispered, her hand on his chest. "Our children need you." For a heartbeat she saw him, the blue-eyed boy from Tatooine, the hero of the Clone Wars. But the mask reclaimed him. "Go," he said, turning away, "before I destroy you too." "I'll never stop fighting for you," she vowed, retreating with a heavy heart. As Padmé returned to her shuttle, the Imperial retreat unfolded outside. The Death Star's loss had shattered their morale, and rebel fighters harried the fleeing ships. She slipped away, unnoticed amid the chaos. Aboard the Executor, Vader watched the rebel escape from the bridge. His orders could end them, but Padmé's words gnawed at him: love, betrayal, redemption. He saw her face, felt her touch, and for the first time in the years questioned his path. "Lord Vader," an officer ventured, "in pursuit." "No," he said, his voice hollow, "and let them go." The officer hesitated, then saluted. "As you command." In his chamber, Vader activated a hologram. Padmé, radiant on their wedding day. He traced her image with a trembling hand. "Perhaps," he murmured, "there is still hope." On Yavin 4, the rebels rejoiced. Hangars rang with laughter, pilots swapping tales of valor. Padmé stood apart, her victory tempered by loss. She'd reached Anakin, if only briefly, and that spark kept her going. In a jungle clearing, she faced Luke and Leia. "My children," she said, embracing them. "I'm your mother." Luke's eyes widened, Leia's softened. "How?" Leia asked. "A long story," Padmé said, smiling through tears. "But I'm here now." "We'll fight together," Luke said. "And save him," Leia added. Padmé nodded, gazing at the stars. "Yes, together." As night fell, Vader stood alone, Padmé's hologram glowing. A tear fell unseen. "Perhaps," he whispered, "I can still come home."